Welcome back. You're watching Today, and the National Student Financial Aid Scheme has presented key challenges to universities across the country. Student protests are a great indicator of these challenges. Much more than that, the financial aid scheme places university at risk of instability and being plunged into debt. The Board of Directors for University South Africa is deeply concerned about this and seek a speedy resolution. Dr. Phethiwe Matutu, who is the CEO of University South Africa, joins us this afternoon to discuss this further. A very good afternoon to you, Dr. Matutu. And I suppose one of the biggest questions here would be, what are the greatest concerns that University South Africa is looking at the moment when it comes to what unfolds, when it comes to accessing the resources for young people to access tertiary education?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the viewers of eNCA. The biggest issues that the vice chancellors of universities are facing as we speak are protests at universities due to a number of issues. There are three issues at hand: the process of defunding of students, the direct disbursement of student allowances, and accommodation capping. That is an issue.
And that is so how then do we navigate, Doc, because it is quite concerning as you've just described, but now how is that navigated with the different stakeholders that are then involved in ensuring that young people have access to this education?
The issue of accommodation capping is the one that I'll address first. We have been engaging with the Minister and the National Financial Student Aid Scheme since the beginning of the year in order to find ways of addressing this issue. The reality is that this was introduced prematurely, in that due diligence, which should have occurred, did not occur. As a result, there were students who are found that now, over and above the cap, there's a balance that needs to be paid to universities or to university list accommodation. And that is a problem, because that means these students are going to be in debt come next year. And the National Financial Aid Scheme is meant to be a solution to the issue of accommodation. Universities have got, or at least the vice chancellors have got, nothing against capping. However, due diligence has to be performed before one can decide on what the cap is and what the appropriate level is for the students which are funded by it.
And let's speak a little bit more about that due diligence. What exactly would it look like? Because ultimately, all of these are bottlenecks that are created in the system when it comes to providing the necessities for the education, the accommodation, and related resources, really impede the students' ability to focus on what they're at university for in the first place. So when we're speaking about some of the criteria or some of the framework in which you would look at, what exactly would that look like?
That would entail going from university to university and from province to province to ascertain what it is that gets into the costing of university accommodation. Right now, some universities, when they are stating exactly what gets into that, you find out that not adequate research has been done in that sense. So what is important is to say that if you are living in a particular town, there's no way in which you can live under 45,000 rand in a university accommodation, or a percentage of these students have to live above that because of A, B, and C, and not put the cap at 45,000 while excluding a number of students from staying within a university residence or a university list residence. That is what we mean by due diligence. Now, that has to happen after the cap has been set. And these students are going to be owing the universities funds at the beginning of the year, which is a big risk for universities, because that means we may experience unrest. So as we speak, we are experiencing unrest which are violent among some universities due to a number of other issues, the ones that I've mentioned, the process of defunding of universities. We have nothing against defunding of students. However, if it's going to be happening in the middle of the year, while we have accepted these students with the understanding that they are going to be funded by NSFAS at the beginning of the year, then that becomes a problem, because we do our due diligence to ensure that there's someone who's going to pay the fees for the students.
And Doc, that's an important point that you raised there, because it then begs the question, what kind of conversation have you been having with NSFAS when it comes to other challenges like the defunding that happens mid-academic year?
We have met with NSFAS at the beginning of the, last year in November, to highlight some of the changes which were being proposed at the time. And because the defunding of students did not come in at that time, and we consider it to be a necessity when they find out that there's information which is lacking. However, it is important that they do so before they accept the students. They ensure that they've got the appropriate ways of verifying the information which is being put forward by the student. But to do so in the middle of the year becomes a problem. And the manner in which it has been done also is a problem, in that these students have not been given an opportunity to respond to these findings by NSFAS. For instance, the reasons for being defunded have not been provided to students. And when students are phoning NSFAS, they can't get hold of NSFAS. And that becomes a problem. And also universities are not even told why these students have been defunded. In that case, they could assist perhaps with even trying to put together the information which is required by NSFAS, so that they don't have to deal with students individually.
Yeah, no, I hear you there, Doc. It's a very important issue. And I suppose as a final or a parting shot from you, what is it that as University South Africa you would like to see happen in the interim? Because these are big issues that, of course, one knows won't be solved in a short period of time.
The first part is that we are coming here with this statement to inform the public, because the universities are for the public good, that this is the situation and it's likely to destabilize the higher education sector. And the second one, we require a meeting with the minister together with the NSFAS to discuss these issues and come to some level of decisiveness. For the past month, we have not been able to get hold of the minister, despite our attempts to do so. So these issues have been hanging for far too long. And now, when we find that the institutions and the campuses are being destabilized, it's important that we take the public into confidence, as at the end of the day, we are there for the public good.
Thank you very much for that update, Dr. Phethiwe Matutu, who is the CEO of University South Africa, highlighting some of the critical challenges that are being faced by students when it comes to accommodation, the NSFAS issue as well, and calling on a meeting amongst the relevant stakeholders there to ensure a speedy resolution to prevent the kind of unrest that we see on an annual basis when it comes to unrest at universities. And we do know that that always leads to turmoil that universities take time to recover from.